You on the line with us is my old buddy Troy Miller. Troy was my collaborator in most all of the Hidden History series of books, editing my work and pointing out when I was saying stupid things. and he now works with Social Security Works, socialsecurityworks.org. Alex's organization has been on this program many times as their West Virginia organizer. The Twitter handle is Troy N. Miller. And Troy also has a Substack newsletter. You still doing that, Troy?
I am. It's blueridgebreakdown.substack.com, and it's I'm just trying to put out as much as possible, but there's so much going on. There's only so much time to write.
I totally
as you know.
I know it well, yeah, and I subscribe to Blue Ridge Breakdown. So West Virginia progressives are calling you guys. You guys are part of a campaign, and apparently you're using billboards to pressure Joe Manchin.
We're
Tell me
using
about this.
Billboard trucks that we're sending around West Virginia for the next 2 weeks. They're right now planned to be in Morgantown, Charleston, Wheeling, Martinsburg, Clarksburg, Parkersburg, and Huntington. But there is a lot of interest from other groups around the state who are saying, hey, we'd love it if you can come here, and we'd love to do a rally with you. So there's one rally that's definitely planned, and that's coming up this Thursday. I'll be there. That's in Morgantown at 243 High Street at the county courthouse. The billboard truck will be there as well. And, we're taking the issue directly to Joe Manchin here. And the message is simple. He says he supports lower drug prices. And 90% of West Virginians are on a prescription medication or live with someone who is on a prescription medication. I don't see this as a progressive issue at all. I see this as very clear cut. You're on the side of pharmaceutical greed, or you're on the side of West Virginians who are demanding lower and more reasonable drug prices. And, the billboard says very simply, let me make sure I have the language right here. Senator Joe Manchin claims he supports lowering your drug prices. The Build Back Better Act allows Medicare to negotiate lower drug prices. Call Manchin at 304-342-5855 and tell him to vote for the bill now.
Wow.
And, it's very clear. I think this is one of these messages that once people hear it and know that this is in the bill, people overwhelmingly support it. And conservatives, independents, Democrats, Republicans, never-Trumpers, pro-Trumpers, it is across the board an overwhelmingly popular thing to take on high drug prices and the pharmaceutical greed that is literally killing West Virginians and Americans all over the country. As you well know, we have collaborated on this and researched this in both your Monopoly book, the story of Alec Rayshawn Smith, who died after he rationed his insulin, and in the healthcare book quite extensively.
Yeah.
So I know I'm preaching to the choir here, but maybe your listeners, maybe there's a few in West Virginia, and if there are, I encourage you at the top of the hour here after this conversation to pick up the phone and call Joe Manchin at that number again. And, this issue, 25% of West Virginians, 1 out of every 4 West Virginian is on Medicare. And we have 35,000 kids who are being raised as their grandparents as their primary caregivers. That's about 8% of all West Virginian children. You take a classroom of 25 kids, 2 of them are going to probably being raised in a household where their grandparents are their primary caregivers. 31% of West Virginian voters, according to exit polls in 2020, are over 65. Another 35%, according to that, are over 45. So this is an issue that is going to, right now, improve the lives of voters, improve the lives of those kids who are at best, those 2 grandparents have paid in Social Security for their entire lives. At best, they have pensions and they own their own home and they're on Medicare. And they are seeing their drug prices go up year after year. The price of insulin has tripled over the last decade. In West Virginia, between 1991 and 2014, the average rate of spending per capita on pharmaceutical drugs and pharmaceutical medications went up 6.8% every year. People are upset about inflation at 6.2 or whatnot at the end of October. Well, this has been going on for decades, and people are losing money on it and are making tough decisions between whether to heat their home for the holidays or whether to ration their drugs that they need or whether to skip the doses entirely. this is to me a no-brainer issue that is very clear. You're either on the side of more pharma greed and more executive payoffs and more lobbyists to be hired to tell us that this is impossible, or you're on the side of West Virginians who need more affordable drugs right now.
So if people want to learn more about what you're doing there in West Virginia, go to socialsecurityworks.org?
socialsecurityworks.org. On Twitter, you can DM me or reach out to me at Troy N. Miller. We are going to be all over the state for the next 2 weeks. We're organizing with lots of great groups around here. The Working Families Party in West Virginia is going to be helping us out a lot. And the Poor People's Campaign also. This is a real mobilization effort, and Joe Manchin needs to hear this.
What is the state of progressive politics in West Virginia, Troy Miller? We have a little less than a minute.
I'm, for a conversation that could take up a whole hour. I am optimistic. I believe that the state of progressive politics is positive here. This is a state that went all 55 counties for Bernie in the primary in 2016. The messages clearly resonate. And if we can get past the stigma of, socialism and all the BS that we hear on the national media, when you take the issues directly to people, in my personal experience, and I believe polling shows this too, people overwhelmingly agree with us on this issue and so many others.
Yeah. It seems like that's got to be the. I mean, I just keep remembering, that Bernie carried every single county in West Virginia in the primary.
And people think West Virginia is a very red state, but that happened in the last 10 years.
Yep.
And so we can turn this around. I'm optimistic.
I'm with you.
Thank you so much for the time, Tom.
Sure enough, Troy. Troy Miller, his Twitter handle is Troy N. Miller, and socialsecurityworks.org is the website.